Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, All Things Finance and Productivity. My name is Tinashe and thank you so much for joining me. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. I would really appreciate it. So I thought I would do a video that is very dear to my heart. I think I will do this as sort of like a series, as you know, you think about certain things that might have happened in your life and you're like, oh, I need to add certain points to this particular topic. So this is the first series of sorts, and the topic that we're going to be discussing is the things that they did not teach us in school about money. Gosh, I know not everyone picked business, picked accounting, or picked finance as one of their areas of interest or speciality. And we learned various other fields. So these are some of the few lessons that I could think of that we were not really taught of in school. First thing, taxes. Yes, you knew everyone needs to pay taxes. That was a given. But the filing of taxes bit, oh my gosh, like right now it's mid-June right now, and I've not even filed my tax. In my view, it should be enough that my taxes are always deducted every single month from my salary. I understand that for some people who do not really have, say salaried, so some people who are not really salaried employees, they might miss out in being taxed. But if you can clearly see, salary, tax, everything has gone to the KRA, then that filing bit, it's just so cumbersome. It is so cumbersome. The other thing is simple basics of budgeting. When we're doing budgeting in school, especially for those people who did business, accounting, etc., you're sort of doing budgeting for a corporation, for a company, etc. And yes, that is what they are essentially teaching you, but they don't really get down to the nitty-gritties of your own personal finances, of which I think a holistic system should essentially build off from that. You start off with just a normal budget for yourself as Tinashe, who is living in this world, and then you advance to company budget, etc., which I think makes a bit more sense. Later on in life, you're exposed to instances whereby you need to budget, and yet you are not really able to do that. Just tracking your expenses one by one, you're not able to do that. Making sure that you reduce some of these things so that you can save, you're not able to do that. So it becomes a bit tricky now when you're an adult, because some of these things you're not being taught from a young age. And honestly speaking, the things that you're taught from a young age, it develops as a habit. And those are really good habits that we need to instill in the future of tomorrow. So I think that's one of the things that was not really taught to us about money. Other thing is saving. Honestly speaking, the person who taught me about saving was my mother. When I was growing up, I had a piggy box of sorts, and you'd put your money in there, save money. So that's how I learned about saving, and saving with a goal. Because I remember, yes, I had a piggy bank and I would put money in there, but you'd ask, what are you going to use your money for? And it made you think, okay, so if you are saving, it's also important to think about your goals as to what you are really saving for, because that is a motivator. If you are saving, say as a child, if you're saving to buy a comic book, then by the time you get to a point whereby you get the money that is enough for the comic book, it's very motivating, and you've managed to buy it with your own money. Very motivating. In school, they don't really teach you some of those things, so it becomes a bit difficult now as an adult to start incorporating some of these aspects. I will not be surprised if not so many people are saving. My philosophy is, even if you earn a little, you can just save that little. By the time you get to the end of the year, you'll be surprised at how much you will have collectively. And so it's very important for some of these things to be instilled in us from a young age. The other thing that they have not really instilled in us from a young age is knowing what an emergency fund is. Again, the person who taught me this concept was my mother. When I started grade 1, story time. So when I started grade 1, she gave me $5. And then she said, this money is for emergency. As a grade 1 student, you don't know what an emergency is, right? So she gave me $5. She gave me somewhere where to put it. She hid it in my bag. She's like, this money is not for your lunch. This money is not for you to just spend however you want to spend. This money is for an emergency. So she tried to give examples of what an emergency is, but I didn't get it because of my young brain. So when an emergency eventually came on board, which is I was left by the school van and I should have used my $5 to get transportation to go home. I did not use that emergency fund for that. I walked home because I did not understand what it means for you to be having an emergency fund. So from a young age, it is important that our school system instills some of these things, like what an emergency fund is and what it should be used for. Because with the example that I've given, that was the opportunity for me to use that emergency fund. The other thing that I thought I should actually add here was, I think the concept of an emergency fund was really brought home to us when we experienced COVID. I don't know about you, but about me, I started thinking more about my finances. I started thinking more about, not investments per se, but a stash whereby you've grown that can assist you if anything is to happen. So COVID really brought that into light, especially in my life. And I think for very many people as well, that is something that has been brought into light, to just say, okay, so you need somewhere liquid where you can put some of your funds for an eventuality that might just occur. So at least you can use that for that, and you don't dig into your investments. So yeah, the concept of an emergency fund, I think, is very, very crucial. Very, 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 very crucial. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm in Africa, so I'm speaking from an African perspective, and it would be very ideal for our curriculum going forward to incorporate some of these things so that every child gets an opportunity to learn more about money, to learn more about savings, to learn more about emergency fund, to learn more about just personal finance, budgeting, etc., which those are very important aspects in my view. I think the other thing that was not really taught to us as well was just that bit on financial discipline. I think the culture that we've been brought up is, life is short, YOLO. There's a whole phrase on YOLO, like you live your life once. And the whole thing of now the additive to that would be when you die, people are going to eat your money. I think that feeds into a lot of financial discipline, in the sense that if you had funds set out to do certain things, then they should do that. You should not try to be like the next person and try and live like the way that they are living. Sadly, the society is very comparison based. We feed off competition, so that now stems into, if I'm seeing my peer driving, I also now want to start driving. And yet you've got different priorities in life, you've got different things that you are looking at. Maybe that person is driving because a parent gave them a gift and they're able to buy a car. For you, you're in a different situation because maybe your parent is not able to fund the purchase of a car on your behalf. So you see already the situation is different. You're not playing on level ground. So you cannot now seek to be like Sally, who is still getting support from their parents, and try and emulate their life. Already different playing fields, different opportunities that have been given to them and different opportunities that have been given to you. So practicing that financial discipline, it helps you now even as an adult to, just stick in your lane. It's okay. Getting onto that mountain, people use different means. Other people helicopters, other people walk, other people use a bus. Just stick to your lane and do what is doable for you. Or let me know in the comment section below some tips that we can explore together. What else from your perspective has not been catered for in your school system? I know we've gone to various schools. We're in different geographies. I've said that I'm in Africa, different geographies. There are so many countries in Africa. So let me know in the comment section below where you're coming from and what your experience has been. Were you taught some of these things in school? And even if you're not from Africa, if you're from abroad, let us know as well what your experience has been and whether your curriculum is different from ours. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your time. Please make sure that you take care of your loved ones and you also take care of yourself. Thank you. Bye.